Three, two, one. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Horror Talk Live, episode 25. And I want to wish you all a very happy Friday the 13th. It's Jason's birthday. We're here to celebrate. And I know some of you all have been watching Friday the 13th already this evening. Troy and I just got done watching Friday the 13th, the one we're going to talk about tonight, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. And you may be asking, happy Friday the 13th, Brandon, who just got his box set. I'm excited for him. It's an awesome box set. I know you're probably wondering where Troy is. Troy, Jason has a few birthdays this year. Hey, Kurt, what's going on, man? You might be wondering where Troy is. Troy did watch the movie. I do have his rating, but Troy came home early from school today with a major migraine. He was throwing up, so he did not feel up to... Oh, that's awesome, Kurt. On the projector, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm on the big wall. I appreciate that. Troy unfortunately came home with a major migraine earlier today from school early. He threw up, and he is feeling a little bit better. He watched a movie with me. He gave me his rating, but he didn't feel up to streaming tonight. So he sends you his love, and he wishes you all a happy Friday the 13th, and he hope you all have a great weekend. He wanted to make sure I told you. He said hi. But, Troy's just not feeling up to it tonight, unfortunately. He is feeling better, just not good enough to do this. But he did watch the movie, and he gave me his rating, and I'll give it to you towards the end. He was a trooper. He sat here and watched it with me, but now he's back laying in his bed. But he is feeling better. I assure you, he ate dinner, and and he's definitely feeling better. But unfortunately, he gets these migraines from time to time like I did when I was his age. And today was just an unfortunate day. But enough about the negative. He's doing good, and we're going to have a great weekend. And I hope you're all having a great Friday the 13th. And if you're going to celebrate tomorrow, have a happy Valentine's Day. Watch a Valentine's Day horror movie. You got a few to choose from. You got Valentine. You got My Buddy Valentine, the original, My Buddy Valentine 3D, and last year's Heart Eyes, which is really good. Hey, Rich, how's it going, man? Happy Friday. It was a long week, and if I sound a little hoarse, it's because I'm just getting over a cold as well. I'm feeling much better, but my voice is a little messed. I'm probably a lot deeper than normal, and that's just because I'm coming off of a cold. But still got a beverage in my hand, and I'm enjoying my weekend thus far. So, since we're here to celebrate Jason's birthday, and we have more than one this year, we got a Friday 13th next month, and we got one in November. By the way, I just told Brandon this, but if you live near a Regal Cinema, I don't know if they're all showing them, but for Friday 13th this month, they were showing Part 1 and Part 2, and next month for March, they're showing Part 3 and Part 4. So if you want to see a Friday 13th on the big screen, Regal Cinemas are showing them. And I think they're even discounted ticket prices for $7.99. So check your local Regal Cinema because they're supposed to be showing them. So next month you'll have an opportunity to see 3 or 4. I know mine's showing 1 or 2 tonight. Hey, what's up? Hope you're all doing well out there. Again, happy Friday the 13th. That's why we're streaming tonight. Unfortunately, again, Troy's not feeling well. That's why he's not joining me tonight, but like I said, he is feeling better, just not enough to do this. But he did watch the movie. We watched the movie, then we watched the cut footage, which we'll talk about later on in this review or this show. While we're at it, since it's Friday the 13th and we're all watching the Friday the 13th movies today and tonight, let me know what's your favorite of the franchise, or what's your top 3 of the franchise. I'll tell you my top one. Mine's no secret. I think I've said it many times before. My favorite Friday the 13th movie is Part 4, the final chapter. But I love this franchise. I grew up with this franchise. Rich knows we've watched these many times over the years together at his house or mine. I have that box set. I don't have it out, but I have that movie from the box set, and then my Jason 7-figure holding that badass weapon that he uses in the movie on Dr. Cruz. But let me know. Yeah, let me know what your favorite is, your top 3 for one. That's a good. I love 6 too. 1 is obviously a classic and started the whole franchise. 6 is just fantastic. I love 6 as well. We might have to do a Hard Talk Live on part 6. I love that one. But we picked 7 because this was the next step in Troy's Friday the 13th journey. He has seen them all up to this one, and he also saw Jason Goes to Hell, which was out of turn. But if you ever saw Jason Goes to Hell, you don't really need to see the whole franchise to watch that one. If you just see a couple, you go skip to Jason Goes to Hell, because it really doesn't have nothing to do with the rest of them all that much, but it's kind of its own thing. But, and Jason X is its own thing too, because it was just New Line giving their Jason movie until they got to the remake, or Freddy vs. Jason, which we're going to talk about, because Freddy vs. Jason has a lot to do with this chapter of the series during the Paramount years, and we'll get into that. They wanted to do that movie way before they made that movie, and we'll talk about that. Jason Takes Manhattan, really? God damn, man, that's interesting. Jason Goes to... I have a soft spot for Jason Goes to Hell. It's not great, but it's batshit crazy and so gory that it's just a lot of fun. I mean, I bought the 4K, and it looks spectacular on 4K, so I highly recommend it if you're a physical media nut. All right, before we get in this movie, I'm going to go through a couple movies that we saw before, since the last time we were together. I got to see the brand new Sam Raimi movie. Okay, I was going to say, Manhattan's not that good. But I got to see the brand new Sam Raimi movie, Send Help. And if you're a Sam Raimi fan, this movie is built for you. It's such a great premise. It's a simple premise. It's basically Misery. No, Busta Rhymes was in Halloween Resurrection. Busta Rhymes did not make in the Jason's universe. Matter of fact, Friday the 13th never had a rapper in it. But Busta Rhymes and LL Cool J were in the Halloween franchise. That was Halloween Resurrection, Busta Rhymes. Sorry, I still got a little bit of a cough. I'm going to try to keep it as minimum as I can. But yeah, I got to see Send Help in the theaters, Sam Raimi's new movie with Dylan O'Brien. It's fantastic. If you get a chance to see it in the theaters, it's totally worth the price of admission. It's total Sam Raimi. You get those awesome camera movements from Sam Raimi. You get some batshit situations. It's funny. There's some gross out scenes. It's fantastic. And then last weekend, I took Troy, because he likes the new Strangers films. No matter what you think of them, Troy digs them. So I took him to see the third one. He liked it more than I did. I had a lot of problems with it, but it was okay. And tomorrow or Sunday, I might go see that new Gore Verbinski movie with Sam Rockwell in it. Good luck, have fun, don't die. I want to see it. I heard it's really, really good, so I might go see that Sunday, because it's supposed to rain here. So, and the wife's gonna be sleeping; she has to work Sunday night, so I think I might go see that. And then we have Psycho Killer next week. And then we have Scream 7 the weekend after that. So the first 2 months of the year has been like horror central, which is exciting. And then in March we get Ready or Not Part 2, which I'm very excited for. Yeah, Psycho Killer, I want to see that, Brandon. It looks really interesting. Unfortunately, I'm probably not going to see it next weekend. And the last weekend of the month, we're going to Wilmington with Dale and his wife, because me and Dale are going to do some location scouting. We're going to see the condo from the Mutilator, Brandon. We are going to the condo from the Mutilator. So I don't know when I'm going to get to see Psycho Killer. I will get to see it. I just don't know when I'm going to get to see that one. I want to see it badly. It looks very interesting, and it's written by Kevin Andrew Walker, who wrote Seven, Sleepy Hollow, a bunch of other films, 8mm. So I'm very excited to see that. It looks very interesting. Yeah, it's a new location videos, Brandon. It's been time for a while, and I'll have some out in March. We want to go see the condo for the Mutilator. There's some more locations from some other films from Wilmington we got to check out. So those will be coming in March. We're working on that. The wives are going to do their thing, and me and Dale are going to go out and do our thing on Saturday. The first place we're going to hit is the condo for the Mutilator. That's the plan anyway. We got to map it out, but I'll be looking and mapping stuff out No, he wrote the original 8mm with Nicolas Cage, the Joel Schumacher film from the late '90s. What the hell year did that come out? Don't mind me, folks. I'm gonna use my cell phone and look it up. I can't remember what year 8mm came out. I like that movie. 899. It was a '90s movie. '99. So, yeah, that movie's coming out next week, and then Scream 7 a week after, which Troy is very excited about. He's ready to go for that. I'm ready to see it too. I'm excited. Kevin Williamson's back, and obviously Nev Campbell's back, so we'll see how it goes. But the reason we're here, the reason we're gathered here this evening is it's Friday the 13th. It's Jason's birthday. And this episode of Hard Talk Live, we're talking about Halloween. Yeah, Halloween Resurrection. No, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, which came out May 13th of 1988. It's rated R, although they battled the MPA to get the rated R. It's an hour and 28 minutes long. Had a budget of $2.8 million, and upon release, it made $19.1. So right around the same amount as Part 6 made. And this actually came out 2 years after Part 6, and we'll get into why it took them so long, because they were pumping these out every year, and this is the first one in a while through the franchise that it took them more than a year to get one out, and we'll talk about that as we go along. And to direct this film, we have John Carl Buechler that came in and direct this film. Now, he was mostly known for being a makeup effects artist, but he did direct before. He directed Troll in '86. He directed Cellar Dweller in '87. Then he directed this film, and then later on he would direct like Ghoulies University, stuff like that. But as a makeup effects artist, he worked on From Beyond in the '80s, '86, Ghoulies 1 and 2, Prison in '87, Halloween 6, and many, many other films. He worked with Charles Band a lot in the '80s and '90s. Now, in this film, cast-wise, we got Terry Kaiser, Bernie Lomax himself from Weekend at Bernie's, which I love that movie, playing Dr. Cruz, the scumbag. Laura Park Lincoln plays Tina, our main final girl. Susan Blue plays her mother, Mrs. Shepard. Jennifer Banco plays young Tina, and I only put her in here because she was also in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. That would come out a couple years after this. William Butler plays Michael, and I only bring him up because he's also in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 that came out a couple years after this. And Kane Hodder, this is the first time he would appear as Jason, and the reason Kane Hodder is in this film is because he worked with John Carl Buechler on Prison in '87. That was Rennie Harlan's first movie, and Kane Hodder played the ghost in the movie. And if you've never seen Prison, it's definitely worth your while to check out. It has Viggo Mortensen in it. Has a nice little cast. It's a low budget film they shot up in Wyoming in a prison, in an actual prison. And it's a cool movie. You can still get the Blu-ray on Amazon through Scream Factory. Now, after Part 6, Tommy Jarvis, at the end of Part 6, sunk Jason down to the bottom of Crystal Lake with a chain around his neck and a big-ass boulder. I love Part 6. It's a great sequel. In this film, we start out with a recap of the previous movies, and the recap is narrated by none other than Walt Gorney, who played Crazy Ralph in the first two films. He's the one that does the voiceover work for the recap of the series thus far. And once we're all caught up, we're back at Crystal Lake. We're introduced to young Tina, and we hear her father being abusive towards her mother. She runs down to the dock, goes out in a boat. Her dad's trying to talk her into coming back in. And Tina has the psycho... Basically, Tina's Carrie in this scenario. If you've ever seen Carrie, she has those abilities. And she basically kills her father by accident. We fast forward. Now she's a young adult or a late teenager. And she's going back to the place where she killed her father with her doctor, Dr. Cruz, and her mother, to try to get better. Meanwhile, the cabin next door, there's a bunch of kids or young 20-somethings that are there for a party, a birthday party for Michael, where his cousin Nick is putting his party on with a bunch of his friends and a bunch of his Michael's friends. Tina goes down to the lake, tries to resurrect her father, and instead resurrects Jason. And pretty much you know what goes on from here. Jason stalks and slashes, although This movie's pretty bland on the kills, although that wasn't the director's fault. The MPAA had a lot to do with that. This is a very tame Friday the 13th movie isn't in its current form. And as from what I understand, we'll never see an unrated cut. The footage was destroyed, and the only footage left is very grainy, crappy, like dailies almost, that's left behind, which you can see on the Blu-ray from the Scream Factory box set or on YouTube. It is uploaded to YouTube as well. You can see it. There's about 13 minutes worth of footage that was cut out. Not all of its gore footage, but there's about 13, 14 minutes of footage that was cut out of the movie. Some of it rightfully so, but a lot of the gore was cut out, like the extended kills. And this time, though, Jason has somebody that can stand up to him in Tina. Tina has psychic abilities. She can move stuff with her mind. And that's where the fun of this movie comes in. This movie really was very ambitious. And the final act of the movie where we get that Tina versus Jason moments is where the movie really shines in terms of stunts, of practical effects, and just the fun factor. That somebody could actually stand up to Jason and mess him up and basically fuck with him like nobody else ever could through the rest of the series thus far. And then we get that final at the end. Tina makes her father come up out of the lake and take Jason. It's kind of anticlimactic. Well, that was not the original way it was supposed to be shot. And Tina and Nick, the love interest, survive, and that's pretty much the end of Friday the 13th Part 7. Now, let me know in the chat what you think of this movie. Like, where does it go in the franchise for you? What would you give it out of 10? We're going to talk about it right now. Some of my favorite parts of this movie. Some of the problems they had. There was a lot of problems on this movie. Unfortunately, John Carl Buechler had a lot of issues with the producer of this film and the MPAA, which butchered the shit out of this movie. I think Laura Park Lincoln, I always go back and forth on her performance. This time watching it, I really dug her performance. I think she's really good here. This one is always one of those ones I used to rent a lot from Broad Street Video in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania, where I grew up. There's a lot to like about this film, especially in the second half of the movie. Once things ramp up, it's a lot of fun. And it goes for broke. I mean, this was definitely going in a totally different direction than the rest of the franchise up to this point. It's getting more into supernatural elements. Middle of the pack, okay. Number 7, it's not bad. Not bad. That's usually where I have it, too. This time I liked it a little bit more than the last time I watched it, but it's still probably in the middle of the pack, Brandon, for me. I think the first half, while interesting, it gets a little... The kids aren't that interesting, okay? I think once we get to the Tina versus Jason stuff, it gets a lot more interesting, a lot more fun. And there's a lot of fun stuff there with her, her first encounter with Jason where she puts him in the puddle and puts the electrical line in the water and electrocutes him. And then Jason even looks at her like, what the hell? Who is this chick? Like, what's going on? Like, Jason even seems surprised that she can do these things to him because he's never been messed with like this before. It's always been, he's either been stabbed or somebody tried to shoot him, like in Part 6 or stuff like that. So this is like the first time that somebody could actually stand up to him mano a mano, and there's not much he can do about it. He just has to take it. And I think Kane Hodder, like I said, Kane Hodder played Jason 4 times. This was his first crack at it. And the reason he got hired was because John Carl Buechler worked with him on Prison because he did the makeup effects and Kane Hodder was in that movie. So he fought for him to be Jason. And I think he is a good Jason. I think he's really good. He's not my favorite. I think Ted White from Part 4 is my favorite, but Kane Hodder is definitely my second or third favorite Jason in the whole franchise. I love the look of Jason here. I love that you could see his spinal cord, his spinal column, his rib cage. His mask is all messed up for when the propeller blade hit him in Part 6. You can see his jawline. Oh, you haven't seen it that long? I don't know if it's even streaming anywhere. I know, Rich, you were watching it on Pluto, right, Rich? I I don't think it's streaming anywhere else right now, unless it's on HBO Max. HBO Max has them sometimes. I don't know if they have them right now. But yeah, I love the design. I think that design is one of my favorite designs of Jason, the whole franchise. That design in Part 4 is probably my two favorite designs of Jason, the whole franchise. And the remake. I think the remake's really well done. Like I said, the cast is all right. Terry Kaiser as Dr. Cruz is awesome. Terry Kaiser's always great. And I remember seeing Terry Kaiser for the first time on a show called Night Court. And I don't know how many of you remember Night Court, but in the first few seasons of Night Court, he would show up as a sleazy reporter. And then obviously he did this movie. He was in other movies, but he's mostly known for Bernie Lomax and Weekend at Bernie's. And he's great in that movie. But he's always been terrific. And he was just in The Mutilator 2 from a few years ago. He's in that movie as well. And he's always been great throughout his whole career. He's one of those character actors that shows up, he knows the assignment, and he just goes for it. And here's one of those ones where he just plays this scumbag doctor, and he's fantastic. You hate this guy, and you can't wait for him to get it. Weekend at Bernie's Heart Talk. Brandon, I have not seen Weekend at Bernie's in a long time. I really love that movie, but I don't even own it on physical media, which horrifies me because I've always loved that movie, but I haven't probably seen that movie in at least a decade. But I love that movie, and it makes me smile when I see clips of it because it's just such a fun movie. We should do. I guess I could do a Hard Talk Live on Weekend at Bernie's. It's a horror movie for Bernie's body. He goes through hell in that movie, but it's such a fun movie. Directed by the same guy who directed First Blood, by the way. Ted Kotchoff directed that movie. That would be a good summer one to do. Maybe we'll do it. Just do something a little different. Weekend at Bernie's Hard Talk Live. That'd be fun, Brandon. I know there's a Blu-ray out there. I think it's a 4K, but all right. So I also think like John Carl Buechler does a nice job directing this film. He gives it like a lot of it has a soft look to it, and has like a dreamlike quality. And I appreciate that. It gives it a different look than the rest of the franchise up to this point. So I think he does a nice job with the directing here. For what he was a rush production. He didn't have a whole lot of time to shoot this thing. And he was having problems with the producer, Barbara Sachs, on the movie. Always getting arguments. She was like, she would tell me he couldn't do stuff. Although some things he did anyway behind her back. Like taking Jason's mask off. She nixed that. Like John Carl Buechler was adamant he wanted to take the mask off, like have Tina take the mask off, and it appears in the movie. But Barbara Sachs told him he couldn't do it, and he ended up shooting it without her permission, and it's in the movie. And I think he looks great. Jason looks great without the mask on. I think it was definitely worth that money shot of the mask coming off, and you get to see him without it on. Because I think you have to show that because Jason's taken so much damage and he was under the water for how long since Part 6. I think it was necessary to show that. And I'm glad that he stuck to his guns and he did it anyway because it was definitely necessary. Sorry. I had to get a drink of water. It's cold. It's just won't let my voice back to full strength. So I'm sorry if I sound a little off again, but all right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room about this movie. The reason why it took 2 years for this to come out from Part 6. Now, we all know after when Jason Goes to Hell came out, that final shot of Freddy's glove coming up and taking Jason's mask down to hell got everybody excited about a Freddy vs. Jason movie. But that was in 93, and we didn't get Freddy vs. Jason until 2003. It took us that long to get that movie. But after Part 6, Paramount approached New Line Cinema about doing a Freddy vs. Jason movie in the 80s. They had talks for a year-long negotiation about making that movie. And they couldn't get it to work. They tried to get this done in the 80s, a Freddy vs. Jason movie, and it just fell through. So when it fell apart, the talks to do it, somebody came up with the idea of Jason versus Carrie, which is basically what this movie is. And that's what they went with. And they hired John Carl Buechler, and off they went. So originally this was meant to be Freddy versus Jason. Originally, that's what they were looking to do. There was extensive negotiations with New Line, but they couldn't get it to work, and this is the movie we got. It would have been cool to get this, like Freddy vs. Jason back then, but they wouldn't have put the money into it that Freddy vs. Jason ended up having in 2003 when it came out. So it was probably best that it waited. Although part of me would have loved to see that movie done in the 80s on a lower budget with all practical effects. There's a part of me that would love to see that version of what that movie ended up becoming. Obviously, we'll never see that, but it definitely piques my interest, and I would love to see it. But it's one of those what if things. But I think the 80s version will be better too, because there won't be that CGI crap with the worm and shit. I mean, I like Freddy vs. Jason, but when the CGI shows up, it stands out like a sore thumb. And I think if they did it in the 80s, they would have been forced to just use practical effects and just, go for it. Unfortunately, they did it later. I think in the 80s, they would have used a horror director to do it, which would have gave us more of a horror bent on it. Where I think the Freddy vs. Jason we got, even though I do enjoy that movie, again, I'll say it, it's a fun movie. It's more of a comic book kind of movie than a horror movie. I think Ronnie Yu, I always thought Ronnie Yu was the wrong director for that movie. I think he does good with what he's going for, but it wasn't the movie we should have gotten. But I still like that movie. I think it's a fun movie. But the 80s version would have been more horror-centric, and I think would have been a lot closer to what I always envisioned it should be. But that's not what we got, so it doesn't really matter anyway. The working title of this movie was Birthday Bash or Jason's Destroyer, because it takes place at a birthday party, folks. When Tina sets Jason on fire in the basement, that fire is 40 seconds long, and at the time, is my camera getting blurry? I'm sorry, folks. It's automatic focus, and it's going crazy for some reason. Is it blurry out there, folks? If it is, I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell's going on with the camera. There, it's better now. It has autofocus. I don't know why it's going crazy. I'm sitting close enough and there's plenty of light here. I've never had that problem before. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, when Tina lights Jason on fire. All right, cool. Yeah, it looks better on my screen. My monitor looks better now, too. But it looked like it was drunk, Brandon. Yeah, it looked like it was drinking. Yeah, when Tina lights Jason on fire, that fire burn lasted for 40 seconds. Kane Hodder was on fire for consecutively. That was a record at the time. And Kane Hodder also said in interviews that most fire burns like that, you wouldn't see the person ignited. There would be something that happens that would make a cut, and then they would be on fire. That was like one of the first times that you actually see him ignited on screen, and then he's on fire for 40 seconds, and that was a record at the time. And Kane Hodder was scarred from a bad fire at one point in his life. So, and he still stayed in there and did the fire burn. That was all Kane Hodder. He did all the stunts in the movie, which he was a stuntman before that. He was in many films over the years as a stuntman. All right, let's get into the cut footage of this movie. This is the other thing, the big glowing thing about this film, because it seems very tame, but it wasn't as tame in its original form. John Carl Buechler had to submit the film 9 different times to the MPAA. It got so bad where they would cut the stuff that the MPAA told them they needed to cut, and then the MPA would come back and tell them they needed to cut something else they'd never mentioned before. It was a very frustrating experience for John Carl Buechler and his editor, and he was never happy with the released version of this movie. He was always very pissed the way his movie got butchered. And the reason we never got an unrated cut, at least according to everything that I've read or seen in interviews, is because all the footage was destroyed. On a Blu-ray, on that Blu-ray right there over my shoulder, there is a feature on there where you can watch the 14 minutes of cut footage. Not all of it's gore footage. Some of it's just like different scenes. But it's very rough looking, the footage on that, but you can see what they were going for. And there's definitely some kills that go on way longer than we see. There was definitely more blood, more gore. So this movie was absolutely gutted by the MPAA. And the movie actually ended, there was actually a stinger ending to this movie, originally shot, that after Tina and Nick get taken away from the ambulance, they cut to a guy on Crystal Lake in a boat fishing. And we've seen some of these earlier in the franchise where some of the final girls go out in a boat and Jason pops out of the lake. Part 1, it happens to Alice, and then it happens to the girl in part 3 as well at the end of the movie. At the end of this one, there's a guy fishing on a lake, and Jason comes out of the lake and grabs him and takes him under, and that was how the movie was originally supposed to end, but that was cut. That was never shown in theaters or on any VHS or any home video until that Blu-ray came out and the footage was put on there. Also, the one main kill that goes on longer is the Dr. Cruz kill. You see more gore with that blade. You see his guts start coming out. The guy that comes out of the van, that him and his girlfriend are having sex in the back of the van where they think it's Michael. And you see Jason start crushing his head, but in the movie they cut it short. In the uncut footage, he basically squishes his head, crushes it to half the size, and there's blood everywhere. And then that girl, that has sex with that stoner guy in the bedroom, her death actually got reshot. In the original version, which is on that Blu-ray, she gets cut, like she's getting to get cut in half. In the theatrical version, she gets thrown out the window. Well, the version she gets cut, like she's getting cut in half, was shot in Alabama where they shot this movie. The reshoots took place in California. Where she gets thrown out the window is actually the cabin from Friday the 13th Part 4. So that was actually shot in California at the location from Part 4. That's where they shot that scene. Now, other than that, you watch the footage if you get a chance. It's on YouTube. Just search Friday the 13th Part 7 cut footage. It's uploaded to YouTube if you don't have that Blu-ray. If you have the box set, it's on there. You can watch all the cut footage from the movie. Now, we're all horror fans here, and I thought this was very interesting. So I'm going to read my notes here because in 1988, the year this movie came out, listen to this lineup of horror films that came out that year. We had A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This is all in 88. Friday the 13th Part 7, Child's Play, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, and Phantasm 2. All in the same year. That's a hell of a year in horror, folks. I mean, 88. People were living if you were a horror fan. Dale's texting me. He made it to his destination. Awesome. Yeah, that was an awesome year, Brandon. I mean, that's a hell of a year for horror. There's some classics in there. John Carl Buechler, the director, does make an appearance in this film. He is the firefighter that picks up the Jason's broken mask at the end of the film. That's John Carl Buechler. You never see his face, really. You see him from the side. But that's him, the director, picking up the mask at the end of the film. That's all I have for trivia. I think this is a very ambitious sequel. John Carl Buechler was trying to do something different with this one. Obviously, this goes. I mean, Jason's supernatural in his own right by this point. He's basically zombie Jason or Terminator Jason. But this is the first time we're really pushing the supernatural angle in terms of the whole movie overall, not just Jason. And honestly, the last time I watched this, my score went down on this one. But watching it this time, can't stop coughing. I'm sorry. Try not to cough into the mic. Watching it this time, seeing on a $2.8 million budget, seeing what they tried to pull off here, you got to give them credit. They went for it. There's a lot of stuff here, a lot of stunts. That explosion of the house, which was bigger than they thought it was going to be when they rigged the house, it actually melted some of the cameras. It damaged some of the cameras. They only had a couple seconds of footage left because it melted the film. Between all the problems, all the effects, I think Jason looks amazing here. I think they did a lot with not a whole lot of money. I mean, John Carl Buechler went for it. And I actually enjoyed this movie even more this time than I did last time. Not that it's not as good as part 4. It's not as good as part 2. It's not as good as part 6. Or the remake, because I think the remake's really good too. The remake gets a lot of shit. I don't know why. I think the remake's really good. And let me know what you think of the remake. If you've ever seen it or when the last time you saw it. I think the remake's really well done. The remake's pretty much an amalgamation of the first 4 films, just updated. And I think I love Jason in that movie. Derek Mears plays a really great Jason. But I think looking back on this movie and watching it with Troy, they did a lot. I actually liked it more this time than the last time. But it's a weird thing about the Friday the 13th franchise. Some of these sequels, sometimes I'll watch them and I'm like, it was okay. And I'll watch it next time and I'm like, that was actually better than I remember it being. I always go back and forth on some of the sequels. Not part 4. Part 4 is my favorite. It always is my favorite. Part 6 is one of my favorites. Part 2, part 1. Part 3 I used to like more, but part 3 has some issues, but that's not what we're talking about here. Part 5 is fun in a kind of softcore porn kind of way, because that movie definitely goes hard on the nudity. Although it helps that Danny Steinman, the director, he directed softcore porn before he did that movie, so I guess that's why it looks like a softcore porn movie that you would have saw on Skinamax back in the day. Yes, I did say Skinamax. Some of us remember Cinemax. All right, Rich? Oh, this part 5, The New Beginning. That's where Jason wasn't the killer in that one. It was good old Roy, the ambulance attendee, was the killer in that one. Which I know Dale just did a watch along today on the Bat and Spider Discord. Those guys looked like they had a lot of fun over there watching that one. That is a lot of fun. There's a lot of kills in that movie. There's a lot of nudity, which I'm not against, and it's just not the best Friday the 13th movie. And the whole whodunit thing with Roy, it's like it's obvious it's Roy the whole time. Brandon, I'm right there with you, brother. I remember those days. You good old Skinamax days. Right, Rich? You remember those days, too. Kurt, you're a little younger than us. I don't know if you remember Cinemax. Hell, I'm old enough to remember Prism. Remember Prism out of Philly, Rich? They didn't show the softcore porn stuff, but that's right, Rich. Yeah, I know you remember Skinamax. I remember. Those were the days, man. That's when the future looked bright. Now it still looks bright. I'm just joking. But yeah, what would you give this part 7 out of 10? Let me know down below. Yeah, Prism's not even around anymore. Oh, really? You got to watch. That's a good memory, though. They used to play some of the Friday 13th on WPI. I always mention this. And Brandon, I am working on that video about what they showed on WPIX 11. That was what I put on my Discord today was a promo for the Blob. But they used to show some of the Friday 13th on WPX 11, obviously a cut down version. But I am working on that, Brand. I've been doing some research just to remind me exactly what I definitely saw in there. Some of them is vividly, I remember, like Halloween 3, The Blob, Silver Bullet, Phantasm 2, Creep Show 2, stuff like that. Friday 13th, Friday 13th Part 2, I think Friday 13th Part 3 and 4, and Nightmare on Elm Street, stuff like that. I am going to do a video on that, Brand. I'm actively researching that. Just to refresh my memory before I do it. So yeah, you'll see that in the next couple of weeks. I am working on it because I think it's a fun video to do. They were to ship back then. Yeah, let me know what you would give this one out of 10. Troy gave it a 7.5 out of 10, which I thought was pretty good for Troy. Gave it a higher than I thought he would. He actually enjoyed it. He really liked the Tina versus Jason stuff. Which that's my favorite stuff too. Once we get to that stuff, I think it's the best stuff in the movie. It's the most creative stuff, and it's really fun. Just to see somebody be able to battle Jason with, that actually can go toe to toe with him. So Troy gave it a 7.5 out of 10. I would give it this time. I think last time I watched it, I gave it a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 as well. So I'm going to up my score. Again, sometimes you watch these movies and you feel differently about them, depending, even though I've seen this one probably 40 times, maybe 50. Again, I used to rent the shit out of this one with some of the other ones as well. But I remember watching the shit out of this one, and I don't know, this time I just thought it was better. I thought it just played better. Yeah, there's some problems. But I think it's a fun movie. It's inventive. It's creative. And they took some chances with the franchise at this point, which by the 7th movie, you probably should take some chances with it. And they definitely did that. And John Carl Buechler went for it. And I think it's a decent sequel this late into the game. Unfortunately, they would fumble the ball with Jason Takes Manhattan for a lot of reasons. Maybe we should do one of those Hard Talk Lives, but it's going to be me shitting on that movie for a fucking half hour because there's a lot of problems with Part 8. There's only like 2 scenes I actually like in that movie. I think Jason's design looks like shit. There's a lot of problems with that movie. Although I remember the trailer for that movie is amazing. Like, the movie never lived up to the trailer. That teaser trailer for Friday 13th Part 8 was badass. Like, whoever came up with that trailer should have got a bonus check. Because it got me so psyched for that movie. And when I finally saw it, I was like, what the fuck was that? No, they're not quite of what the fuck is Jason Goes to Hell the first time I saw that one. But Part 8, I just remember seeing it. And I'm like, he spends 3/4 of the movie on a goddamn boat. It's like, he's not even in Manhattan. And then they only shot one scene in Manhattan for real, and that was the Times Square sequence. So, really, Jason took Vancouver or a cruise ship. I know those are old jokes and they're dad jokes, but it's true. Jason never took Manhattan. He took Times Square for one scene, and that's it. But that's enough for me bitching about Jason Takes Manhattan. That's a different episode. And, boy, I could bitch about that movie for a half hour. But I would give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I appreciated it more this time. I had more fun with it. I think the second half is a hell of a lot of fun. Yeah, straight to the sewer. And the way he dies in that movie is an abomination. Whoever came up with that, Jesus Christ, my soul died. Every time I watch that, it's my soul dies. Oh, the toxic waste in the tunnel. It's like, what is this, Chud? Jesus Christ. But yeah, 7.5 out of 10 for Friday 13th Part 7, A New Blood. Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a fun sequel. This late in the game, they went for it. You got to appreciate that. You got to give them respect for that. But now here's the thing. Next month on Hard Talk Live, which I don't know when we're going to do it yet, because we are going away. No, not even. I saw this when I was young, Part 8, and I didn't buy it then. I was probably 9 or 10 when I saw Part 8, and I still didn't buy it. Especially the ending when they killed him. I'm like, what the hell is this bullshit? Even back then, I was like, what the fuck? For March episode, I don't know what we're going to do it yet. I'll announce it in a couple weeks. We're going away for a one weekend. So I got to figure out what we're going to do yet. I don't even know the movie yet. So I'll announce that. I got to ask Troy what he wants to do. If I had my pick, but I'm not going to say it yet because I'm going to talk to Troy and I'll announce it on my socials because it's his pick, honestly. I kind of talked him into this one because it was a Friday 13th and it's an easy, let's do a Friday 13th movie on Friday 13th. It's a no-brainer. But next month for Friday 13th, we were not going to be home. We're going to be in, we should be in Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge. Might be going to Dollywood, folks. I thought about that, Rich, about doing Leprechaun, and I might have a special guest next month, too. There's been talks, folks, about having a special guest who hasn't been on the show in a while. You can probably guess who that is. I can't guarantee he's going to do it because we're both busy, but we've talked about it. But maybe we'll do a Leprechaun next month. It is St. Patty's Day month. We'll see. I don't know yet. I got to talk to Troy and a possible special guest. But I'm going to wrap this up. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please subscribe. I know most of you already are. Hit the thumbs up. I appreciate that. And thank you for joining me on this Friday the 13th. Again, sorry for my voice. I've been sick all week. I'm coming off the better end of it, but I know my voice sounds weird tonight. And Troy sends his love. He hopes you have a great weekend. Again, he had a migraine today. He's not feeling the best, but he did watch the movie. He was a trooper. But I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Friday 13th. Go watch another Friday 13th movie. Have a great weekend. Tomorrow, Troy's a football game. And then I'm going to take my wife out for Valentine's Day. But other than that, that's it for this episode. I will see you all soon. Take care of yourselves. And I'm going to end with bye.